Thank you very much, Vijay, for this honor. I feel totally inadequate in this setting when there are people like Vijay Bhatkar, Dr. Joshi, Dr. Gopal Krishna, and all those whom I have known and read about their contributions to science and technology. So I had a long innings, but I want to tell you where we are and what this country needs to do and where we can get. Last year, our total IT was about 100 billion. Out of that, about 10 to 12 billion is hardware and 90 billion is the software. And out of that 80 billion has exports and 10 billion is for software written for India. That doesn't make sense that we have so little software for this country. And let me tell you, some of us, because we are English speaking and knowledge of English, we feel that this country is computerized. This country is not computerized. There are 900 million people who don't speak English. They have no access to process their thinking on computers. We have no compilers in Indian languages. Of course, our problem has been a little bit different than the other countries. When China had Mandarin and Cantonese, 2 languages, we have 22 languages. And all 22 languages are important. And what is good about it, Professor, she talked about Sanskrit. Out of that 22, about 20 are derived out of Sanskrit. Use is Sanskrit, semantics, grammar, and other things. Now, so this country has to do something about it if you want to be in computers. And also, why we should do it if we have computing capability built in Indian languages, will bring the thought process of all these 900 million people into our in use, and that also will give, today it is 100 billion, our business will be about $300 billion, not 100 billion. So it's processed by the computer. So there's hope. The second thing is, IT is both hardware and software, not only software. Software needs hardware and hardware needs software. We have missed somewhere there because we are exporting. For export, you don't need computers at your installation. So with the result, we have no hardware industry at all. 10 billion is neither here nor there. China is about $250 billion hardware industry. So even Taiwan is more or less about $200 billion. So where are we? So we have missed out another bus. That is the hardware industry. So if we have computerization in Indian languages, we will need 30 to 40 million PCs a year, not 5 million or 6 million that we have. And when we have that, we will need a hardware industry. And hardware industry will, we can have a very successful and thriving hardware industry once we have the people of India using computers. That is one area that we are looking at. About 7-8 years back, we looked at the microelectronic education in the various institutes, and we found that this country was producing only 200 microelectronic engineers at MTech level. Israel produces about 4,000. Most of the design work of the west coast of the United States, where the computer industry is located, is done in Tel Aviv and Haifa. So what prevents us? My own company worked with IIT Bombay. We funded them for their re-engineering of labs, other things. And that coursework that was developed, we handed it over to the government of India with a request that this course can be given to 100 colleges around the country which have good departments of physics and mathematics. As it happens that you can't have the bureaucracy involved in all the times. They did with some colleges, but not 100. But the net result was, last year we produced 1,200. Intel's 6-core chip is being designed in Bangalore. Cisco also. So the people from abroad are moving as we have more microelectronic engineers. The day we have 4,000 microelectronic engineers, we will become design engineer to the world like Israel. We have intellectual capital, as Vijay Bhatkar has said. We have highly talented people with critical thinking skills. We have no shortage of it. But what do we do? How do we miss out? We have about 1,500 engineering colleges, leave alone the IITs, which produce very highly about 4,000 to 5,000 engineers a year, out of which half of them leave the country. But it occurred to us that this country can't have only 500 people at the top. And we worked out a criteria that any student who gets 90% at 10 plus 2 is a bright fellow, and we have proved it in some cases. And why can't we work with them? Then we found the university system in India is not working. University system is only an examining body. That is why the coaching classes are prospering all over the country. There are universities which have not revised their science curriculum for 10 to 15 years. The science curriculum needs revision every year, including mathematics. So at our bidding, Maharashtra government took 3 colleges out of the system, gave them autonomy, and I'll just tell you one example of that. The College of Engineering, Pune, which is the oldest engineering college in India. We worked, as a first thing that we worked, we said, let College of Engineering, Pune, adopt the same coursework as IIT Bombay. We collaborated with IIT Bombay. In over 5 years, we copied everything from IIT Bombay. Incidentally, Pune College of Engineering cutoff is 92%. You can't get any brighter people than that. And yet, we could not turn them as top-class engineers under the university system. So, in the first process, we changed our labs. We sent our faculty to be trained at IIT, and they were required to sit as students in the classes. We sent a lot of people to complete PhDs. We also put a fiber network between Pune and IIT Bombay so that we could take live courses from IIT Bombay. I must tell you, the class that came out in 2010 was equivalent to IIT students in all respects. And it is not what I am saying, it's the people from abroad who have gone and assessed this thing. And but then there are at least 50 colleges, there might be more, where the cutoff is 85. Why can't we work on those colleges? If we work on, we will get 30 to 35,000 world-class graduates. We will be able to send perhaps 20,000 to graduate schools. We will produce 6,000 PhDs a year, not 600. And so, there are a lot of things that are doable in this country. But this whole process takes time. I want to add here, how come that India went for exports and not for this? When we started looking at it, the country was a dismal scene. The government of India did not believe in computerizations. They didn't think this country needs computers. And that happened in 2 or 3 governments. First Mr. Gandhi's, then Mr. Morarji, and then Charan Singh. And willy-nilly I had to start looking around the world where we can get some experience, some jobs. And I was elected on the board of directors of Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, US, 73-74 term. And I went to Detroit 8 times in those 2 years to meet with the Burroughs computer people, which was #2 computer company at that time. I used my contacts from the IEEE, I used my contacts from MIT where I studied. And finally Burroughs, end of 74, agreed to give us, to test out a software to design a healthcare system for their new computers. That worked. We didn't have a Burroughs computer at that time. And we designed a filter from ICL computer to Burroughs, which Burroughs bought and used that filter for selling Burroughs machines in UK to replace ICL machine. That is how the story of exports of software starts. So it's sometimes I blame myself that it was, perhaps that is why we neglected to work in Indian languages. But nonetheless, it is there that we are considered very good in software all over the world, and I am very proud of it. And then there are other things that you can, I mean, computers are now computers, you can look after it. Year 2000 census indicated there were 150 million adult illiterates. How do you make, how the country should be making every human being in its country as an asset? How do I start making person asset without some literacy? And we looked at, there were literacy missions the government of India had, but they were trying to teach them as school students. No, at the age of 25, you can't be a school student. You can't have that much time. You are working in fields or whatever, and labor and all that, you don't. So we said, what do we want to do? We said, a literate, according to us, should be able to read newspaper in his or her own language. And then what do you do? So what we want is to teach reading first. Do we need the alphabet to start building the words? No. You build those letters, those words which will enable a person to read a newspaper recognition of those words using VN and also some of the audio. And so what we found was an amazing thing, that if you have a vocabulary of 600 words, you can read Times of India from front page to the last page. So we found that most of the Indian languages, the vocabulary size of words required was 400 to 500. So we said we will work on those, 400 to 500. And they will learn alphabets from the words, not words from alphabets. And we tried this experiment after working at a village called Madik, about 20 kilometers outside Hyderabad. And it worked. Within 10 weeks, 30 hours of lesson, the people started reading newspaper in Telugu language. This we have done for 10, 12 languages. Now it is taken over by the Government of India Literacy Mission. And we have done for South Africa. We have done for some Arabic countries. We have done within the country. My own organization has done about 200,000. But the question is, that is not enough. This has to be worked in every village in the country, and it can be. Now, let me also tell you, these are computerized lessons. What we are doing is, these comes on the computer screen with some animation. You don't need a teacher. All you need is somebody who has been trained to push the keys. And these computers can be 5 years old. That means discarded computers. And with that, our cost of making an adult literate came about 100 rupees per person. And what I'm trying to say, we can do a lot of things in this country if we want to do it. It's what Dr. Bhatkar said, that after 3 years he had made up the supercomputer. Somebody called and came and told him that your mission is over now, so you shut it down. I mean, that is the type of thinking that you have. I mean, it's not, it's sometimes both the political and the bureaucrat do not understand where this country can go, and indeed, this country has no business to be poor. It has the brightest people available in it. But we have some stake in making the bright people mediocre people. I tell you one more experience and then I will sit down. About 4 or 5 years ago, we started looking at the agriculture. India's agricultural productivity is half of China, 1/6 of California. You need, for agriculture, you need sun, water, and land, soil. You have more than anybody else in the world. Then how come that our productivity is low? We consulted some people at University of California, Davis campus, which is an agriculture campus. We also consulted the Wisconsin University and some of us. We did a prototype in Madras. We have a foundation set up for this experiment. We have been, and I'll tell you what results we got. We did a thorough application of agricultural sciences to this. We did soil analysis in detail for this 2 or 3 acres prototype that Balaji gave us to work on. To our surprise, we found the soil did not need as much fertilizer as we were putting. It needed more supplements like potassium, magnesium, and like that. We also found that California, for tilling, they were going 30 inches deep. When we had the wooden plows, we went 3 inches. When we had these tractors, we went 6 inches. Now 6 inches is not enough. So some of us, myself, talked to Mr. Anand Mahindra, who's heading the Mahindras. He gave me a tractor free and also sent his engineers to see how we can till deeper. We couldn't go beyond 15 inches because at that time the tractor ran out of horsepower. It was not designed for it. But nonetheless, we put the seeds 15 inches. We put the fertilizer and supplements, as the soil test indicated, 6 inches. And we designed our own drip irrigation system, which does not need pressure. Some of my friends from Israel have seen and they have vouched that it works better. And the first crop that we got 3,100 kg per acre of corn as against 700 that Balaji was getting. So it is possible 4 times. Now, also there is a sad part of it. India has 95 agricultural colleges, 15 agricultural engineering colleges. Not a single one goes to agriculture because the agriculture cannot pay him and all that. But those are the problems that we have to solve. The future of India is in science, technology, innovation, as my friend Vijay Bhatkar has said that, and we are capable of doing it. And I have some more examples, but I don't want to tire you with this. But what I have tried to show is we can be a nation where there is nobody poor and everybody is an asset for the country. Thank you very much.